So, this is my first attempt at podcasting. The reason I'm doing it is to have some fun and maybe connect with some like-minded people. I'm going to start with a riddle, which I will answer at the end of this audio. What's greater than God, more evil than the devil? The rich need it, the poor have it, and if you eat it, you will die. Now, I'll give you a clue to the answer because it's exactly what you'll get out of this audio if you don't listen to the rest of it. I'm going to be talking about how to make things more fun while learning about things that hopefully will improve your personal, career, and social life. My goal is to put one or more of these podcasts up each week for a year. Most will be based around a book that I wrote for a family Christmas event 10 years ago called Free Me. It was an experiment with something called book crossing, and also a bit of a personal manifesto condensed from 50 years of being intensely curious about the world and how I fit into it. I'm pretty sure if I was growing up now, today, I would have a good chance of being diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. My mind jumps to many different subjects. For example, usually I'm reading 5 to 10 different nonfiction books at a time. I might not have the academic qualifications to have a PhD in any one thing, but I'm well researched in a lot of things. I grew up with a library in our house of probably 200 or 300 good books, of which about 30% were philosophy. My dad retired when I was 6 years old, and he was a prolific reader. Every evening at dinner, we would discuss a new topic that he had read about that day. So I was exposed to some very good ideas when I was very young. And I currently have probably about 600 books, physical books, in my own personal library, of which about 95% are nonfiction. Since about the last 15 years, though, I've purchased mainly audiobooks and have made my way through about 450 of those. I personally worked mostly in sales, marketing, sales management, and then for the last 13 years of my full-time working life I owned a direct sales business. And one of my duties was to organize and conduct daily sales meetings for 30 to 100 people. And most of them, in the last 13 years, mostly it was the same people. So I had to get creative to want them to come. My formula was basically first to set the stage with something fun, then to explain about why we did something a particular way, then demonstrate how to do it, and then leave them with something to think about until the next meeting. So that's basically my formula here. This is a distillation of what stood out for me in the last 50 years and thousands of books, the process of me trying to have some fun, present it to you. The main points to have some fun will be researching fun. When you want to research something, one of the best ways is to become involved directly in it. So if you had to become directly involved in researching something, fun would be a pretty great thing to research, wouldn't it? And that's what this podcast is about. I'll hopefully interject more fun into some of the important questions that many of us rarely take the time to think about or answer, but which can deeply affect our lives. Two of which we're going to start with is who are you and what do you want? The two most famous questions on the answering machine that most people really never answer in their lives. I've taken a total of 7 major questions and 7 subheadings, so a total of 49 topics with the main topic in there, 56 in total. It's geared around philosophy, and the videos I'll be doing some magic, showing some art, activities, maybe talking about some history experiments, some politics, jokes, psychology, games, questions, mischief, just about anything that you can use to weave a little bit more fun into things you're doing. Searching for the answers to these important questions in life is not something you must do, but it's something you should do. I think if people of the world would do more thinking about these questions or just thinking about ideas in general, the world would be a better place. The point of this audio is to add some fun to looking at some of these questions and how their possible answers. You know, I won't have the answers for you because, often I'm just Joe King. That's my alias. But hopefully my answers will tickle your curiosity enough that and put you in a frame of mind that I call the fun point. It's a magical frame of mind that brings you over the threshold of what you should do into what you want to do. If you understand the important questions, all the rest of life will seem like small stuff. And you don't need to sweat the small stuff. So if you don't sweat the small stuff, you'll have more time to put more of the fun point into all the other parts of your life. People have believed in the power of symbols for probably as long as we've had the ability of reflective thinking or thinking about what has happened and why. Symbols have real power over people. If you think about it, people work for pieces of paper with dollar signs or pound signs or euro symbols embossed on them, or even just digital dollars. But these pieces of paper have no intrinsic value except as possibly art. But if you ask somebody for one of these pieces of paper with 100 printed on it and you proceed to light it on fire with your lighter, you'll quickly see the evidence of the power of this symbol. I used to frequently use an employment ad titled "Wanted, Foxy Ladies, Foxy Men." I was hiring for an outside personal contact team to do promotions. Not necessarily looking for good-looking women or men, as has become the common slang adjective, but rather at what the fox symbolizes. The fox symbolizes adaptability, quick thinking, cunning, cleverness, strategy, and wisdom. In Native American lore, the fox is a wise and noble messenger or a trickster. All of these meanings associated with the fox involve a thinking animal, and one that particularly suits this audio theme. So I chose the fox to represent the important questions of life. It's a fox with a fun point, of course. You'll have to go to maybe my YouTube channel or possibly where this podcast originated, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The most important thinking that you can do is to ask good questions. Good questions interconnect your mind with good thoughts, and interconnectedness is one of the most fun feelings that we can have. Drawing on the theme of interconnectedness, particularly the internet and the ubiquitous A with a circle, as a good friend of mine used to call it, or the @ symbol in all email addresses, I connected this natural symbol for sly and cunning thinking, the fox, into the form of an @ symbol, and I named 7 of them: what, who, why, when, how, where, and why not. If you get to get the full Joe King effect, you must say the name along with the description of the named animal. For example, when you're looking at something that you wonder what it is, that would be the fox named What. It's what the fox at. Okay, well, yeah, you have to kind of see it. Most of this book won't relate directly to your business, social, family, or personal life, but it will hopefully give you ideas on how you can add fun to all those points. Just to have fun is a point in itself. Just to have fun may be the point. A few of the examples I give in this audio are simply for fun. There's no other point. There's a beauty in just simple fun. When people have fun, they're more attentive, more present, more understanding, and more willing to do whatever you want them to do again. That's why making a point of adding fun to your business, social, family, or personal life should be a priority. Everybody wants freedom, and almost everybody would like more of it. It's the same way for fun. People want to have incrementally more of it. This audio is backed up by years of researching fun and how to make a point in a fun way. It's about how to find that new incremental improvement in your smile quotient. When do you feel the most free? Often, it's when you're having fun. When do you have the most fun? Often, it's when you are the most free. You might not relate to some of my ideas demonstrating certain concepts. Most of the demonstration will be done in video. You might say, I could never do that, it's just not me. But I would bet at some time you weren't a car driver either, but by pretending to be a driver, eventually it comes naturally and you become a driver. Some of this stuff will sound like the most stupid thing you've heard. Now's the appropriate time to give credit where it is deserved. Nothing here is completely original. Most of the ideas were put together in original ways, but some are indirectly copied from other people's ideas. There's not a lot of new fun under the sun. Which of course that sentence is, in itself is derived from the ancient author of the book of Ecclesiastes. And that would be in the first book, 9 to 14. Now I've tried to reference my sources, and even though I am a prolific note taker, I'm not a prolific note filer, so I'm not able to tell you all of my sources. The following juggling metaphor is one of the most synchronistic examples of using someone else's ideas unconsciously that I personally had not experienced before. I'm pretty sure now that I was tapped into the morphic resonance that Rupert Sheldrake theorizes, and I'll discuss in the section on connectedness. Here's a story. I was once asked to give a speech to a group of about 1,000 people. That was a big deal to me. I gave it a lot of thought. I had already learned to juggle from a street juggler, and he told me I just had a small skin cancer removed, and he was out juggling in the square in Whistler, Canada, where I lived at the time. And when he got done with his show, I gave him a tip, and I said, "How long does it take you to learn that?" And he said, "Well, I can teach you to juggle 3 balls in 30 seconds." He said, "Do you want me to show you?" I said, "Absolutely." So he did, and at the end, he said, "There you go. I've just taught you how to do it, but if you don't practice regularly, you'll never learn it." So I was tremendously cheered up, and he had associated with learning anything and everything. So I use this juggling analogy frequently in sales training sessions to emphasize how you have to begin with the end in mind. Catching the ball is easy if you throw well. The night before I was making the speech, I went into the bookstore and found a brand new release of a book called Lessons from the Art of Juggling. And I really honestly had not had any exposure to this book or its ideas, but somehow absorbed the message, so to speak. The central metaphor of my speech was practically what you would call plagiarism of this book. I'd put the infinity symbol printed on the front page of the handout, and the quote from the first chapter of the book was exactly what I'd put on the cover. The greatest thing by far is to be a master of metaphor, which is something Aristotle said. I said, yeah, I was actually embarrassed by this coincidence, but I'd already printed all the handouts, so I bought the book and incorporated it into the presentation. Maybe it helped the presentation. I'm not sure. But at the moment, it seemed like an eerie coincidence. And yeah, over time, I've come to see the patterns behind these eerie coincidences. So now you won't have the chance to use all the jokes, pranks, altercations of art and sport I'll talk about. But if you get one more smile in your life or help someone else get one more laugh, you'll feel better for it, and so will I. May the fun be with you. So we're just going to start here with the first question you just should start with. What do you want? Now, humor, Albert Einstein said, humor is more important than knowledge. And that's coming from a smart guy. Evidently, I didn't know him, but evidently. One of the most influential books in my sales career, which I never imagined I would do, was the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he points out that the application of the secret of becoming rich, which he never directly relates, because it says it's more effective if you discover it for yourself, is only possible if you know what it is that you want. Odds are, if you're listening to this, that you actually want for nothing. You're one of the select few that are in the wealthy world. You have more than you need. You need nothing, but you want more. much, much more. What is it exactly that you want more of? In one word, meaning. What I'm going to try to do is approach meaning from what might be seen as a childish point of view. The view is that looking for, finding, creating, enhancing, and sharing fun points can give you meaning. Being childish can give you a rich outlook on life. Children see things without the veil of conditioning adults have made part of their thinking. Studies show that on average, a 6-year-old will get the right answer to the riddle at the beginning of this podcast more than twice as often as an adult. My theory is that adults don't get the answer as easily because they've been conditioned to be too serious. Adults look into things a little too deeply, missing the beauty in simplicity. When Europeans arrived in the Americas and in Australia, Aboriginal cultures were confused by the apparent lack of fun the European arrivals had. They rarely laughed, danced, or sang unless they're intoxicated. They had little awe for the magic of nature. They were very unchildlike, again, unless intoxicated. In this first 7 sections, I hope to convince you of what you already know. And that's always a good place to start. Convincing people, if they already believe something, and to try to convince them of what they already believe is a great way to start. So what you already know is you want to have fun. Now, I've included this section on the off chance that some philosopher, not the same opinion as Aristotle, or self-righteous wise person could use some convincing about this statement. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "Man is most nearly himself when he achieves the seriousness of a child at play." Plato believed that you can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. I'm sure you've noticed how easily it is for a child to have fun. As a matter of fact, if you let the average child do only what they wanted, they usually have no problem creating fun for themselves through play. This is universal. The writer and philosopher G.K. Chesterton summed it up by saying, "The true object of all human life is play." And I believe we were built for fun. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a creationist, intelligent design protagonist, or a Pastafarian. I see no reason why a supreme being or force or reality would not think that evolution is much more of an intelligent design than just making something and saying, okay, it's perfect now. I mean, wouldn't a car that fixes itself and continue to make itself better be the best of all designs? Whether we were built or we built ourselves, I think the point that we were striving toward is fun. Fun puts you in the magical present. It makes you aware of the now of your life. Fun is our natural way of saying, let me live in the present. Now, when most people start trying to answer the question, what do you want? They come up with a list of things they want to have or be. I want to have $1 million. I want to have a house on the beach. I want to be a famous cricket player. I want to be a successful singer, musician. You really don't want these things, but rather you want how these things will make you feel in a moment or series of moments we call life. You should make a list of things you want to have and be, and at the same time remember that they are only representations of how you think they will make you feel. How do you want to feel? You just want to have fun, right? But there are a few other feelings you need before you get to the fun point. Let's try some guided discovery to find out what those things are. When you're trying to guide your mind or someone else's in a particular direction, the most effective way is to ask the right questions. People believe things they say themselves more than any other authority, even if it's not true. I'm an expert on this. I really believe that. See my point? Complete this sentence. I just want to be... Yes, 99% of people will fill in the blank with the word that is the result of what they really want. It's the culmination of all the other things that you really want. It's what comes about from concentrating on the fun point. The word is happy. There are not many courses in school today that teach you how to add fun to your thinking. If they ever had a class in thinking about fun, this would be the course 101. I call it Fun Think. If some of the things I talk about seem childish, it's because they are. Having fun is often just becoming a child again. We cannot go back in time, but we can control our minds and how we see things in the present. I'm sure you've noticed how children are often wowed easily. That's because many things are fresh and new to them. You can reclaim and cultivate this attitude by looking for and practicing getting others to the fun point. For me, one of the most rewarding ways to use play is by making some point relating to learning, improving a skill, interacting with others, enjoying nature, or just playing intrigue. The fun point is the point where people feel the fun more than the point. It's a feeling that can be cultivated through practice. The point might be learning something, buying something, getting through something, work for instance, or getting over something. You can't keep people from doing things that are fun. They say build a better mousetrap and people will not beat a path to your door, but build a better fun trap and they highly likely will. The ultimate point of this podcast is to help you do more of the things that most people say are the most satisfying things in the world. Helping others have fun. Think about the most satisfying times of your life. I'll bet the majority of what comes to mind is having fun, particularly having fun with other people. If you help others have fun, you will usually have more fun than they will. Similarly, the teacher learns more than the student. Now, this might not be the case for a sadist who would merely be a masochist that follows the golden rule, but works for everybody else. Almost anything that you want to learn or teach can be done with a small or large degree of fun. It can also be done with little or no fun involved. Lack of fun is a major reason that school and work have gotten a bad reputation. There are many things in life that are not fun. Life is truly difficult. It's also fun. It's easy making the easy parts fun. It's difficult making the difficult parts fun. I'm going to give you examples of both here. I'm doing this for fun, but it's not easy, and that's my point. When this is a success, it will be an example of form and function combined to demonstrate my point. I'm very attracted to things you can demonstrate. So I use a lot of examples here of how I have demonstrated the concepts I'm referring to and how you can too. I do accuse myself of overanalyzing things, and oftentimes people agree with me. So I'm going to try to reduce my theory to the minimum you need to justify the silliness. When I give too much theory for you, remember, at least it was fun for me. If simplicity is beauty, then this might be one ugly podcast. This is not a podcast about happiness, but rather a route to the pursuit of it. Fun is that route. John Shoemaker, in his book In Search of Happiness, calls fun hit and run happiness. It doesn't last. But with practice, you can repeat it, reinvent it, and apply it in different ways. It's a catalyst to hopefully make you pay attention to the moments that can transform opportunities into a project for fun. Create your own funmobile to travel to a state of bliss. In the next 7 podcasts, we're going to talk about what I think most people want. That is health, wealth, connectedness, recognition, knowledge, recreation, and reflection. We'll just do a quick summary of those, actually. Health, it's nice to be healthy, but only if you share that state with yourself and the people you spend time with. Do something to share health. Wealth. Too much is not enough for most of us. We need to scale our needs to who we are and what we want to be able to see the fun in where we're at. Connectedness. We're all in this boat together. Let's celebrate. Help someone have fun. Recognition. When was the last time you gave or received a compliment or recognized something someone did for you? Do it more often. Make it a habit. Knowledge. Now, we know nothing. Therefore, knowledge is one of the most important topics to think about acquiring. It's one of the most highly paid niche skills that there is. Seers, diviners, and politicians can see the future mostly because they control it through what they know. Knowledge is freedom. Freedom is a recreation. And recreation, I think, should come primarily through nature. It's an amazingly magical situation to put yourself in nature. And then finally, reflection. Many people have a difficult time being quiet and reflecting, thinking, and pondering. Fishing is a universal representation of reflective time. I'm a fisherman. And photos, taking photos. I see a lot of people who take photos of landscape. And to me, 95% of my photos, I want people in them. Because that really connects you to the photos. So, final question, what would you have gotten out of this if you did not listen to it? And that would be the answer to the riddle. Nothing. So, question for you to ponder till the next podcast. What has been your most fun, little, or big project to date, and why? Thanks.